Is former star running back Todd Gurley going to be traded this offseason? Before we hop into that one, I want to take a quick second and thank you all so much for joining my new channel, NFL Global. Whether you guys have come from my other YouTube channel, Patriots Global, which if you haven't, go check that channel out, link in the description below. Or whether you're just a fan of all 32 NFL teams, welcome to the channel where we will be talking about many different topics about many different teams, and ultimately just covering all the latest and most important news going around the NFL. Guys, the draft is coming up, free agency is coming up. You're going to want to subscribe to the channel because many videos are going to be dropping, many important videos, and I promise you, you guys are not going to want to miss them. So now that these rumors have dropped about the Rams possibly looking to shop Todd Gurley, this will easily be one of the biggest free agency stories in all of free agency, but especially heading into free agency, which is starting in just a couple weeks. Of course, a couple years ago, Todd Gurley was considered the best running back in the entire NFL. I mean, he's two-time All-Pro, three-time Pro Bowler, 2015 Offensive Rookie of the Year, and 2017 Offensive Player of the Year. He's that type of guy that really every NFL team wants because he is so versatile. He's extremely hard to tackle, he's extremely elusive, he can juke, he uses good hand movements, and he also has some power to his run, which really leads to him being one of the best rushers in the NFL at least a couple of years ago. He's also really good at going out and catching passes. He acts as if he's a wide receiver, okay? Not just easy check down passes. He can go out and he can run many different routes that, let's say a wide receiver or a tight end might route in contributing to the pass game. Now, this idea was actually pitched by ESPN. One of the reporters that actually works closely with the Rams suggested that this could very well be something they look into, and shortly after we heard that, news came out that Sean McVay plans on sitting down with Todd Gurley, talking about his health, where is he at, and then they're going to make a decision from there. So if you're a Rams fan watching this and you are a huge Todd Gurley fan, then don't start crying just yet because there is still some hope that he's staying with you guys. This past season, Todd Gurley had the worst season that he's ever had since joining the NFL in 2015. He played in 15 games. He had 223 rush attempts for 857 yards, 12 touchdowns, and a long run of just 25 yards, averaging 3.8 yards a game. He also had a total of 207 yards in the receiving game after he was targeted 49 times, hauling in 31 receptions for 2 touchdowns and a long of 23 yards, averaging 2.1 yards in just one game. Now, this was a huge drop-off from his previous season in 2018, one of his best seasons ever in the NFL. It was actually his second best. His first best was in 2017 with 1,300 yards, but in 2018 he had 1,251 yards on 256 attempts, so slightly more than this past season. He also took a pretty huge fall this past season compared to 2018 in yards per rush. In 2018, he had about 4.9, and this past season, it was just 3.8. Now, clearly, the big thing here is that Todd Gurley's health significantly got worse throughout 2018. I mean, towards the end of their 2018 season and even into the playoffs, they had to look towards C.J. Anderson a lot more than I'm sure they would have liked to. So there's not a single doubt in my mind that injuries have been plaguing Todd Gurley a whole lot, and that's something you can't even argue. That's a proven fact. But I think that's something that a lot of people aren't looking at is the Rams' offensive line, okay? They had a top 3 offensive line in 2018, and it is what really progressed their offense. Ultimately, it's what sent them to the Super Bowl. Flash forward a season later, and PFF has them graded as the 31st best offensive line. grading them significantly, and I mean significantly worse than 2018 when they made a Super Bowl run. Injuries also plagued their offensive line this year, which was a big part to what made it so poor, but not only was it injured players, but it was the fact that players who performed extremely well last year started to degress really, really bad. And I'm talking about, of course, their starting star tackle. This resulted in a pass blocking grade that allowed a pressure rate of 4% according to PFF, which is higher than it did last season, despite Jared Goff getting rid of the football significantly faster on average and running play actions. So, when you look at Todd Gurley's production, you look at the downfall of his production. Is part of it on him? Yes. Is it a significant part of his health? For sure. But you also have to look at the fact that their offensive line got significantly, again, as I said, worse than it did from the previous season, which used to be the star part of the offense, of really the entire Rams' entire team in the 2018 season. Now, if the Rams do decide to move on from the former star running back in Todd Gurley, it's going to be for a couple reasons. One, they're going to be in a sense of rebuild mode. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be Miami Dolphins rebuild mode, but there, of course, is certain areas that they are going to have to improve. And when you have pretty high contracts, especially from guys like Todd Gurley, there's only going to be able to be so much that you're able to do. He got a new contract that begins in 2020 and will run through 2023 at an average of $14.38 million per year. And due to him making so much, that could also be an issue there for the Rams if looking for a possible trade, because there's only so much teams that are going to be able to carry that amount of money, and so many teams that are willing to spend that on just one player. But again, if you're the Rams and you're trying to look at a positive, you have a guy who was considered one of the best running backs in the NFL. I mean, a couple seasons ago, he was considered the best in the NFL. So you should clearly be able to get some pretty decent compensation if you are looking to move on from him. His cap hit for 2020 is going to be set at about $17.25 million, making him the highest paid running back in the entire NFL. It'll be at least $12.4 million in each of the following 3 years that he has on his contract. So obviously, money, it's not going anywhere, okay? It's not going to be getting any lower. Now, the cap situation, if they did decide to trade him, they would gain about $4.65 million in available cap to be able to go for the offseason, trades, draft, whatever they want to do, roster moves, which is a whole lot better than the $8.4 million in cap loss that they would get if they just straight up cut him. This is going to be a very interesting and a very important story to follow going forward. But like always here at NFL Global, I will have everything covered for you guys. So make sure you guys like this one and subscribe for all of your NFL news. But other than that, I will catch you guys in my next video.